What is going on, everybody? Welcome back, and in today's video we are going to be going over my top 15 linebackers in the 2026 NFL Draft. This is an incredibly loaded position in this class, and the lowest grade that I'm giving any of these top 15 guys is a 4th round grade. I think this is an incredibly loaded class with so many different archetypes of linebackers, so many different types of athletes. You've got guys that I think can move to the slot in this group. You've got downhill players. You've got primarily coverage linebackers, and I'm really excited about this one. But before we get into it, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps me out. It lets me know you guys are enjoying the videos. Comment down below who are some linebackers that you think I should have had on my list that I didn't. We'll get into honorable mentions at the very end because there are a couple of guys I do want to shout out. But guys, let's go ahead and get into these top 15 linebackers. Starting off at number 15, we're going to have Bryce Betcher out of Oregon. Betcher is a player that has been incredibly productive for the Ducks throughout his college career, and I think he's going to end up going somewhere in the day 3 range. He's going to be 24 years old in training camp, so I think age is definitely something to keep in mind here, but this is a player that was actually drafted to play baseball and ended up falling in love with football again and has been huge for Oregon over the last couple of years. He's 6'1", he's 233 pounds. I really love what this guy does. He might not be the biggest athlete in the world. He needs to get stronger. He doesn't have the greatest size and length in the world, but he is a really good sideline to sideline player. I think his hips and change of direction are borderline elite, and you can utilize him as a downhill blitzer. He hits hard. He wants to absolutely drive guys into the ground, and on top of all of that, I think his coverage feel is pretty good. He had a 78.3 coverage grade per PFF. He's a guy who had an interception. He had 3 pass breakups on the season. Bryce Betcher does bring some upside to the table as both a run defender and as a coverage defender. And I thought the tackling got a lot better this year. 10% missed tackle rate. He had 49 run stops, 2 forced fumbles. Bryce Betcher is a player that I don't think is going to get a lot of love. I will say, we talked about it, I think that he's going to have to get stronger at the next level, just 233 pounds, doesn't have the greatest frame in the world, but I do think he has to continue to get off of blocks better. I thought that was the biggest area of concern. If he was met with a combo block, he struggled to shed that, and I do think that his eyes are overly aggressive, and he has the tendency to overextend and just kind of miss his assignment. I think he's overly aggressive in play action. I just want to see better eye discipline from Bryce Betcher. I've got him at 15. Like I said, I've got a 4th round grade on him as a prospect. I think there's a lot to like about what he brings to the table, and he's a guy that I think could be impactful for an NFL roster. At number 14 on my list, I've got Red Murdoch, the linebacker out of Buffalo. Maybe I'm going to get burned by another Buffalo linebacker because I was really high on Sean Dolac last year. But I think Red Murdoch is a better player than Dolac is, and I think it helps that he is a little bit bigger. He's 6'1", he's 240 pounds, weighed in at 6'2", 232 at the Shrine Bowl. There are a lot of things that I really like about Red Murdoch. I think tackling consistency matters a lot for linebackers. Obviously, you're the second line of defense. He had a under 10% missed tackle rate this year, had 56 run stops, had a 91.3 run defense grade, and an 82.2 tackling grade. He's a phenomenal tackling linebacker, and he comes downhill, he knifes through defenders, and he's able to make plays in the backfield. I absolutely love that about Red Murdoch's game. Unlike Bryce Betcher, I think he takes on blocks well. I think he's a really strong player. I think that he has some really good ability to shed blocks, and I think all of that is pretty good. Also, made some nice plays in coverage, has good straight line speed. I think that he's explosiveness at just in that straight line. I do worry about the overall athleticism. I think it's average at best. He doesn't have great change of direction. Like I said, the missed tackle rate was good, under 10%, but the bad misses that he had were really ugly. I'd like to see that get cleaned up. And very similar to Bryce Betcher, I think he's overly aggressive with his eyes at times. So Red Murdoch, I love the straight line speed. I love what he can do as a run defending linebacker. Has some coverage traits. I think that he makes some good plays in zone, but I think the change of direction overall could limit him in coverage. Just 2 pass breakups this year. I think Red Murdoch's a good player, though. I think that strength, that power in the run game, make him a player that I'm pretty intrigued by, and I've got him at number 14 on my list. At number 13 on my list, I've got Justin Jefferson from Alabama. A little bit of a hot take. I think he is the better of the 2 Alabama linebackers. Deontay Lawson is not in my top 15. Jefferson is a player that I don't think enough people have really talked about, and his weaknesses are pretty glaring, and we'll get to that, but there are a lot of things that I think he does really well for the linebacker position. He has some of the best athletic traits, I think, of any linebacker in the class. He's incredibly fluid, particularly in coverage. I think that his ability to click and turn his hips are phenomenal. I think as a downhill run defender, he's really good. 10% missed tackle rate. That's around the number that you like to see with college linebackers. Justin Jefferson meets that threshold. He's got a high effort, high motor, speed to get downhill. He's in constant pursuit. You can utilize him as a blitz threat. I really like him as a weak side linebacker. Had 3 sacks this past season. 8 pressures on the year also. There are things that he does really, really well. The question with Jefferson, and ultimately why I have him at 13 and not higher, he is undersized. He's 6 foot, he's 223 pounds, and he's overly aggressive. I think the play strength has got to be a little bit better. He's overly aggressive with his eyes, and while that can be okay, he bit on play action just about more than any linebacker in this class, which does worry me. The lack of size and the lack of length, I think, really hurt him when shedding blockers. He did not do a very good job of consistently getting off of blocks. And I think as a coverage defender, he's got some ways to go. He's got to be a little bit more nuanced in zone coverage, understanding where his assignments are. There are things there, but he had 5 pass breakups this year. I think a lot of that based off of his athleticism. I think Justin Jefferson is a player to keep an eye on in this class. I know I'm higher on him than the consensus is, but I love the athletic traits. I think he's got high effort, high motor, tackles well. There are ways you can utilize him for your team, and I think he could have an interesting career. So I've got Justin Jefferson at number 13, one of my sleepers in this linebacker group. At number 12, I've got Keyshawn Elliott out of Arizona State, a player that has really grown on me over the past few weeks. I had him in around that 5th round range, but tested pretty well. A guy that I'm intrigued by in this linebacker class. He's 6'2", he's 231 pounds, started his career at New Mexico State, spent 2 years there, transferred to Arizona State in 2024, and over the last 2 years, he's been pretty productive for the Sun Devils. In 2024, he finished the year with 43 tackles, ended up having 68 tackles, 44 run stops this past season for the Sun Devils. And what I like about Elliott is the instinctive run defense ability. He is a really good run defender, has good athletic traits like we talked about, but I think that as a chase down tackler, it's pretty interesting. I think he holds his own in coverage pretty well, and he's just in the right place at the right time in run defense. He fills run gaps really well. I love that about Elliott. I think that he is a stronger linebacker than, say, a Justin Jefferson, who we just talked about. The really the big issue that I have with Elliott and why he's at number 12, I think that he's out of control at times, does not anchor well, and as a result does get pushed around by bigger, more physical blockers. But the most important thing for me is the missed tackles. I think were brutal on tape. He doesn't consistently take the best pursuit angles, but he missed how many tackles? He missed 18 tackles this year with a 17% missed tackle rate. And throughout his career, he has a 19.1% missed tackle rate. He has to be more consistent at wrapping up, bringing guys to the ground if he's going to be a consistent starting linebacker at the next level. And I worry about that because we haven't seen anything that suggests that he's going to be able to do that. But I like the athletic traits. I think that he's an instinctive, smart run defender. And I think the instincts carry over to coverage. He's got size. I think someone's going to bet on him. And I've got him at number 12 on my list. At number 11 on my list, I've got another player that I really like the athletic traits for, and that is going to be Caleb Elarms-Orr out of TCU. Another guy that is transferred around, started his career at the University of California, spent the last 2 years at TCU, Reminds me a lot of Frankie Louvu. That's kind of the working comp that I have for him. Frankie Louvu is technically a linebacker, but he does some edge play, and you can move him all around the defensive line. I think Elam Zor is a very similar type of player. He is a 6'2", 234-pound linebacker who ran a 4.47 at the combine, had a 40-inch vertical. I thought he was one of the best testers from the linebacker group. But what I love about him is I think as a blitz threat, he is really, really impressive. And he even took snaps off the edge at times for TCU. He had 25 pressures this year. There are pass rushers in this class that didn't have that number. Had 4 sacks on the season. I also think that he is a really good tackler. Missed 7% of his tackles, a really good number. He is a strong, powerful linebacker that takes on blocks really well. He has the strength to shed blockers. I think that the straight line speed, it was a question that I had on tape, and I thought that he answered that at the combine. What I still do have questions about with him athletically is the stiffness in his hips. I think that he is a player that has a tendency to, he struggles to turn and run, and ultimately I think that that's going to have to get answered at the NFL level. Similar, I think he can be overly aggressive with his eyes and play action, and as a result, leaves open receivers behind him. I think the coverage defense can get a little bit better, but the ability to utilize Elam Zor as that chess piece, I think he can play all over your defensive line. He can be a really good blitzing threat. I really like what he brings to the table. Like I said, reminds me of Frankie Louvu. I think he's got a role at the next level, and I've got a 4th-round grade on Caleb Elam Zor. My number 10 linebacker in the class, it's Aiden Fisher. Very different player than what we just talked about with Caleb Elam Zor, where it's like, yeah, this guy's got really good athletic traits. He moves pretty well in space. I don't really think Aiden Fisher we're talking about in that same way. Aiden Fisher is at number 10 because he just might be the smartest linebacker in the draft class. A trend that I've noticed with Indiana prospects is if you watch this team, they don't have the best athletes in the world. They don't have the biggest athletes in the world. They do have some of the smartest football players in the entire class, and Aiden Fisher fits that perfectly. No, he's not the biggest guy. He's 6'1", he's 232 pounds. But I do think he's a better athlete than he gets credit for. I think the burst and explosiveness to play downhill is apparent on tape when you're watching him. He hits really hard. He knows how to lay the wood, bring guys to the ground. I thought he shot gaps incredibly well in the run game. And as an overall run defender, I think he's really, really impressive. He gets off blocks well. He makes plays in the backfield. He's got the ability to tee off, get into the backfield, make plays. All of that is on tape consistently and routinely with Aiden Fisher. The missed tackle rate is 13%. I thought that could have gotten a little bit better. I think in coverage, he's a interesting up and down coverage defender, similar to Elam Zor that we talked about. Just leaves guys open behind him at times because he does want to bite on play action. But I do think in zone and the fluidity is a little bit better. I think he's got the ability to match up in one-on-one coverage. He's got the ability to play tight ends and running backs out of the backfield. And we saw that on tape. I thought he had a pretty good coverage year, 65.2 coverage grade. He's not this otherworldly coverage defender at the linebacker position, but I think he does enough. Fisher is a player that, to me, he is a really, really good run defender. I think the tackling it's good. It's not amazing, but he brings so much instinctively to the linebacker position. I think he's powerful. I think he's strong. I think the instincts really matter at this position. So I've got Fisher at number 10. At number 9 on my list, this is going to be a guy that is not getting any love and a player that I know I'm higher on than the consensus, and that is going to be Oklahoma linebacker Kendall Daniels. Now, he's listed at safety on PFF's website. He's not a safety. This is a guy that played almost primarily fully in the box, 192 snaps in the box this year, 492 snaps in the box in 2024. To me, he has safety flexibility, but even at the Senior Bowl, this is a player that he was listed as a linebacker on their website. So Kendall Daniels, to me, is a linebacker in this class. He started his career at Oklahoma State, went to Oklahoma this past season. And if you're looking for a Sonny Styles light in this draft class, I think that Kendall Daniels is the player that we need to talk about in this class. Daniels is a 6'5", 242-pound player that has excellent size and length for the position. who also, similarly to Sonny Styles, brings safety and linebacker versatility. Daniels is an extremely hard hitter that comes downhill, makes pretty good plays in space. The coverage upside with the safety background is there. I think he's one of the smartest coverage defenders in this class. The ball production hasn't fully been there. 5 interceptions throughout his 4-year career is a very good number for a linebacker. But this past season, we didn't see a ton of ball production from him. But I do think it's in there. He moves his hips well, can play man, really good zone instincts. There are a lot of things to like about him. He's an older prospect, though. He'll be 24 his rookie year. The missed tackle percentage was a little bit high for me, 16.1%. And lastly, I just don't know if he's going to have the speed to consistently be on the field. Like, I'm very curious. We didn't get to see him run at the combine. I'm very curious what Kendall Daniels' actual athleticism is, because if this is a guy that runs a 4.5, I'm in on him as a late second rounder, early third round pick. Like, I really like what Kendall Daniels brings to the table from a coverage perspective, from a run defense perspective. He's strong. There's a lot of things to like in there. I don't think Kendall Daniels is getting nearly enough love. I've got him as my number 9 linebacker in the class and one of the biggest my guys in this linebacker group. At number 8 on my list, this is where I'm going to have Jake Golday. So we just talked about a player that I'm really high on in Kendall Daniels. Now we'll talk about a player that I am a little bit lower on than the consensus. Now, I still think Jake Golday is a late second, early third round pick, which is around the range that many people have him. But I see him often lauded in that group of Jacob Rodriguez, Josiah Trotter. And I'm just not there with Jake Golday as a prospect. I think Golday's a really good player. Played edge rusher at Central Arkansas, transferred to Cincinnati in 2024. The grades are phenomenal. I think he is a really, really impressive athlete. I really do. He runs well. I think that he is in a straight line, one of the more impressive linebackers in the class, takes on blocks well in the run game. The tackling reliability, it's there. Just a 9% missed tackle rate, 43 run stops this past season. Good blitz threat. I think with the athletic traits, he picked up running backs well out of the backfield. What I worry about with Jay Golday is I don't really think the coverage is all that refined right now. I think that he has to get a little bit better as a coverage defender. I just did not see enough refinement there for him. I also don't think that he's the greatest lateral mover in the world. We talked about had a straight line. I think Golday's really impressive, but his lateral movement skills, I just don't really think are as good as they should be. And the other area that I worry about with Jake Golday is the type of role that he played for Cincinnati. He took 248 snaps in the slot. This is a guy that played a lot of overhang type of stuff, and I just don't know if that is going to translate well to the next level. I think the athletic traits are there. I love the size that he brings to the table at 6'4", 240. I just have a little bit more questions on how his game is going to translate to the next level, and I have him as my number 8 linebacker in the draft class. At number 7 on my list, I've got Kyle Lewis out of Pittsburgh. I loved Kyle Lewis coming into the year, and I'm still really, really high on what Lewis brings to the table. Now, we'll get the elephant out of the room right away. He's 6 foot, he's 220 pounds. So we talked about Justin Jefferson being small. Kyle Lewis is 2 inches smaller, he's the same height, and he's 3 pounds lighter. And I think he is the better player. He is one of the most fun players to watch on tape because he's like a land shark out there. He is just flying around, making plays. He is an exceptional athlete. Ran well at the combine. He ran a 4.53 with a 1.58 split. So the speed and explosiveness, that is on tape. I think his change of direction is incredible. I think the fluidity in his hips are phenomenal. I think he is the second best coverage linebacker in the draft class. I don't know if I'd say the best because I do really like the number 1 guy, but he is right there. I think that he is so fluid in coverage. He's smart in zone. He's really good in man coverage. At the Senior Bowl, this is a guy that was baiting quarterbacks into interceptions in the linebacker drill, which is not something that happens very often. He tackles well. He's a reliable blitz threat, and I think the reason he tackles well is while he is smaller, he's got long arms for the position. 31.25 is a good length for a smaller linebacker. Look, he is undersized, and as a result, he does struggle to consistently shed blocks as a run defender. That's really my only question with him, though. I think he's a great athlete. I think that he's a great coverage guy. The question then becomes, what does his role look like at the next level? I think he could do a little bit of everything for you. I wouldn't even hate playing him as a bigger slot defender for you because I think he's that good as a coverage player. I've got him as my number 7 linebacker. I've got him as my number, I guess he'd probably be 5 or 6 slot guy, but a really, really impressive player that I think is going to make an NFL team extremely happy, and he gives you so much versatility in how you can utilize him for your defense. At number 6 on my list, we've got Anthony Hill Jr. He was my number 1 linebacker coming into the year, and Anthony Hill didn't really do much to lose me. Like, I didn't think he had a bad year, was in and out of the lineup, missed some time, but he's still a really, really impressive player. My big question with Hill was, can he be a more consistent tackler? And he got to his missed tackle percentage to under 5%. I love the athleticism. I think he's another player that runs really well. Had a 4.59 on the 40, a 1.58 split. You love that. He's got the ability to trigger quickly. I think he's a smart coverage player. Like, I think that's the area that doesn't get talked about enough with Anthony Hill. I think he's a better coverage defender than he's going to get credit for. I think he's smart as a zone defender. There are just some little things here and there. The health, I think I worry about. Can he be more consistent in the run game? He has had struggles. Again, got better this year, but there have been struggles there. I also think that getting off of blocks he could be a little bit better at. He's got to get stronger. He's 238 pounds, 6'2". But the change of direction is something that he is a little bit stiff at times. And while I'm not overly worried about it, I have a second-round grade on Anthony Hill. I am going to lower him a little bit because of that. I think he's a really good player. I think he's kind of being overthought in this draft process. The stiffness in his hips is something to definitely monitor, but I have him as my number 6 linebacker, second round grade. I think Hill is a really good player. Entering my top 5 now, at number 5, it is Josiah Trotter out of Missouri. Trotter, to me, is a player that I would consider taking near the back end of the first round. And I know I'm higher than the consensus on Trotter. He is still just 20 years old. He'll be 21 next month. But a player that is incredibly young and already has so many traits that I think profile well to the next level. He is a really twitchy, powerful athlete. I think that as a downhill player, he's really impressive. Probably the strongest pound-for-pound linebacker in the draft class. I think that his ability to just bulldoze over blockers is really impressive. He is incredibly powerful as a run defender. I also really like what he does as a tackler. He had missed just 11% of his tackles, solid number. You can use him as a blitz threat. I also liked what he showed as a pass rusher. Like, this is a guy who had 14 pressures, but he had nuance in there. Like, he was showing swipes and utilizing his hands as a pass rusher, and that really caught my attention. I love what he does as a downhill player. Now, what he does on the back end is what does concern me. I think as a coverage defender, he's still got a ways to go. Has to be more consistent in coverage. Bites really hard on play action. Just got lost in zone. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that he's going to be a bad coverage player because he is still so young, but that was by far the biggest issue for him on tape. But he's super strong, really good run defender. I love the blitz ability. I think he's got good size at 6'2", 237, powerful hands. I don't really have a lot of questions about Josiah Trotter as a downhill will linebacker for you. And I think he can get better as a coverage defender as his career goes on. So I'm a big fan of Trotter. I've got him at number 5 on my list. At number 4, it's Jacob Rodriguez out of Texas Tech. Really, 3 and 4 are interchangeable for me. I really, really like Jacob Rodriguez, though. Was a player I liked over the summer a good bit, and I did not expect the season that Rodriguez had, where he was legitimately the player that I think should have won the Heisman. And this year, I love Fernando Mendoza. I think Jacob Rodriguez, what he did this season was more impressive. 94 tackles, 70 run stops, 7 forced fumbles, 4 interceptions, 3 pass breakups on the best defense in college football in Texas Tech. Jacob Rodriguez does everything. He is a player that is a great downhill presence, gets off of blocks well, has really good zone instincts. He is a smart coverage defender, reads plays well, sideline to sideline range, forces turnovers at an unbelievably high rate. And really the only question that people had with him was, I just don't know if he's a good enough athlete. Like all of that, he's 6'1", he's 231. I don't know if he's a good enough athlete. And he shut up a lot of people at the combine where he ran a 4.57 40 at a 38.5-inch vertical, did a 6.9 3-cone, which is a really, really impressive time. His change of direction is awesome. He is an incredibly fast downhill player. He can move sideline to sideline. Yeah, I think the missed tackling can be a little out of control. He can be easily manipulated at times in play action. I don't really care. Like, those two things I can live with if he does everything else at the linebacker position well. The reason I've got him at 4, I just like the athleticism and the strength a little bit more of my number 3 guy, but Jacob Rodriguez, I would take in the first round. I think if you're a team like Seattle, if you're a team like New England, I think Denver made a lot of sense for him before they traded for Jalen Waddle. Like, Rodriguez is that level of a linebacker prospect. I'm a huge fan. I've got him at number 4. At number 3, it is CJ Allen to me. I think Allen, we talked about it a little bit. Like, I think that Rodriguez is the better coverage defender than CJ Allen. But other than that, I think CJ Allen, I just trust CJ Allen a little bit more on the field. He is a player that I think he's a little bit bigger. He's 6'1", 230, but has bigger hands, has longer arms. I'll live with that. I think as a tackler, CJ Allen is significantly better. No season in his college career did CJ Allen have a worse than 8.9% missed tackle rate. So, like, he is consistently wrapping up, has 167 career tackles, 2 forced fumbles. He's maybe the best run defending linebacker in the class because of the athleticism, the ability to come downhill, fills gaps well. I think athletically, he's also incredibly impressive. This is a guy that in coverage, I think there are flashes. Like, he is not a bad coverage defender, but he did have issues in that department. The weird thing with CJ Allen is I think he's really loose. I think he's got good range as an athlete. There are times, though, when you can definitely see that he is struggling to change direction. Very interesting. It comes and goes. Like, it's not a down-to-down sort of thing. So, very curious what that's about, but I really like CJ Allen. He's a first-round player to me. There's so many things to like about his tape. I've got him at number 3. There's not really much I can say that I haven't already said before. CJ Allen is a very good linebacker prospect that I love the athleticism. And between him and Jacob Rodriguez, I think you could talk yourself into either of them. I prefer CJ Allen a little bit more. At number 2 on my list, it is Arvell Reese out of Ohio State. If we are talking about a pure linebacker prospect, I have his teammate at number 1. Spoiler alert. If you guys have followed the channel for a while, you would know this. But Arvell Reese is a really impressive player. Like, I'm not taking anything away from Arvell Reese. He is another player. He's 6'4", he's 241, ran a 4.46 with a 1.58 split at the combine. He is an alien. He is an incredible athlete who has the ideal size that you look for in a true linebacker. His tackling ability and his ability to utilize his length is impressive. Just a 6% missed tackle rate in 2025, excuse me. He doesn't miss tackles in the open field. He's really, really good at getting off of blocks. His stack and shed technique is better than some really good linebackers in the pros. Like, he gets off of blocks incredibly well. He's an incredible quarterback spy. Like, I think utilizing him in the middle and just weaponizing his athleticism. He's got the sideline to sideline range, reads things really well. My issue with Arvell Reese is I just don't think he's a good enough coverage player. Like, there's going to have to be room for him to improve. But he's a great blitz threat. He's an incredible run defending linebacker. He's got good range. He's powerful. He's also still 20 years old. If I was an NFL GM, I would probably take Arvell Reese over Sonny Styles, despite liking Sonny Styles more, because I think athletically, Reese brings a little bit more, particularly as a pass rusher. A lot of people think he should just be an edge rusher at the next level. I hate that idea. I think you are taking away some of his best traits, which are at the inside linebacker position. So I just don't think it's going to be this smooth transition to edge. I have Arvell Reese as a linebacker. He's number 2. His teammate Sonny Styles is number 1. Sonny Styles, to me, is as close to a perfect prospect as you're ever going to find in college football. He is a generational linebacker prospect. And I know I said that about Jahad Campbell last year, who I absolutely loved. Sonny Styles blows him out of the water. Like, it's not even close to me between the two. Sonny Styles is still just 21 years old. He won't be 22 until November. And he has been at Ohio State for 4 years. Started his college career as a safety. Moved to linebacker in 2024. And he's been phenomenal. I mean, there's just not anything negative to say about Sonny Styles. If you want to talk about a guy that we'll just kind of go down the list. Like, as a run defender, he's incredible. Like, he gets off blocks well. He fills run gaps well. He can play everywhere for you on the defensive side of the ball. He is a player that I think can fill run gaps quickly, has a really good wrap-up technique. That was my big question coming into the year. Can Sonny Styles wrap up enough? He had 2 missed tackles, both coming in their final game against Miami. Just a 2.2% missed tackle rate, which is ridiculous. If you want to utilize him as a blitzer, I think his timing is phenomenal. As a coverage defender, he is fantastic. Really good in zone, really good in man-to-man situations with the safety background. If you want to talk about an athlete, he's one of the best athletes at the combine linebacker position has ever seen. He's 6'5", he's 244, almost an 81-inch wingspan. Ran a 4.46, 43.5-inch vertical. What is there not to like about Sonny Styles? He tackles, he covers, he's a good run defender, he can blitz, he gives you versatility. I don't really know, like, Sonny Styles, in my opinion, not only is he the best linebacker in this draft class, Sonny Styles, to me, is the best player in the 2026 NFL draft. I think he is a generational blue-chip linebacker, and I've got Sonny Styles as my number 1 linebacker. But let's go over some honorable mentions here, because this is a really good linebacker group, as we talked about in the intro. Jaden Duggar from Louisiana is the guy that just missed. I had him at number 16. 6'4", 240. Really like what he does. I think his coverage feels there. I love what he can do as a downhill player, but has to shed blocks more consistently. Pretty stiff hips for me and take some bad angles. Torian York out of Texas A&M, I do really, really like. I'm really terrified about his size, though. He's 5'11". He's 226. Had 8.5-inch hands, 30-inch arms, 75 3/4-inch wingspan. Terrifies me to no end, and I just don't think I could justify taking him high. But while he is smaller, like, he tackles well. He's got good change of direction. I think he's a reliable tackler. Just I worry about that size. And then the other guy I want to talk about is Deontay Lawson. I never really have been on the Deontay Lawson train. I still don't really get the hype. I think his balance concerns are there. Got pushed around by blockers a lot. Not a great athlete. Has battled injuries. And while, he tackles well, can move all right, I have Deontay Lawson as my number 18 linebacker in this class. But that's going to do it for me for this linebacker group. I love this class, but I'd love to hear from you guys. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Leave a like on this video. Subscribe if you are new. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.